Good morning, class. How are you today? My name is Tom Symons, and I just wanted to welcome everybody to the wonderful world of concrete forms. Our lesson plans today will be in the rough carpentry field, and we're going to be discussing Symons forms. And the Symons forms you see before us, we have a small mock-up here. Basically, what we're going to be discussing is the nomenclature for all the products that go along with the Symons products. Therefore, we have the actual Symons books in detail, which everybody will receive a copy of. So you can have your own book to read at your leisure to identify all the different components of a Symons form. And that's basically what our lesson plan will be today. This is an introductory, and we're here at the beautiful Hamilton Training Center in Hamilton, New Jersey. And as you can see, we have other various concrete formworks, which you will be getting into at a later date. But for now, let's get started. Let's get started on our Symons forms. This is an actual mock-up. This is an 8-inch wall. We actually have a 2-foot panel. You can see the front of the panel has a surface that is replaceable. This is a plywood type product that has a layer of protective coating on it. So you can reuse and reuse and reuse these panels over and over again. So there's like a plastic finish on it. This is what the back of the panel would look like. The back of the panel has actually a nice convenient carrying, so you can actually carry it onto the job site wherever you go. There are different slots, and we'll get into that in a minute. In the meantime, on how these assemble with the different components. These forms are pretty rigid. They are called hand sets because you would hand set them versus some of our bigger concrete stuff like we have over here, which would be put together and set in place with a crane. When you put them together, you'll never be able to lift them. Here, this is pretty portable. You can take on to small job sites, big job sites. They're pretty fast and easy to set up once a crew establishes how to use them in the different components. Here's one component, which this is an inside corner rather. And the inside corner correlates to matching panels. So one of the things that you would do is you would size your panels by the size of the wall, and then the corner would take the place of the area that was to match up, because you want to align these panels across from one another. So you got a 24, you have a 24. You have a 24, you have a 24. Now you have an 18 and a 6-inch corner with a 8-inch wall space. So that's pretty much the gist of it. As far as the panels itself goes, these are different types of ties. Now the ties would go between the panels, and there's different slots. You have the flat bar type, or you have your loop ties. And once these ties will remain in the concrete after the concrete is poured. Once it's cured and the forms are stripped, then these flat spots would break off, and the finisher would come over and take a little cream, what we would call it, and finish off the inside of the form. These are actually wedge bolts, and the wedge bolts is what locks the panels together. As you can see, the one wedge bolt goes through, ties the two panels together, and another wedge bolt goes down and locks. You tap it with your hammer, and the panels will be secure. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Then you have some small loop ties, and take note, they're twisted. They are not opposing, they're opposite loops. And they are done because now what they would do is they would go into your form, and they would be used to hold your whalers and your strongbacks. You would lay your 2x4s on here, such as we have on this side. The 2x4s are for alignment. After the side is up, you only need to align one side of the wall. The other side will take up the slack in the tie. You only have to straighten one side. When the concrete goes in, they will automatically align themselves. What we have here now are Z-brackets. And the Z-brackets are what go on to hold the whalers in place. They wedge down. Here's an example. Here's one loose right here. The loop tie goes through your panel. Your loop tie goes through. Your 2x4s would be sitting in here like you see. And then you would drive this wedge bolt down to tighten up the two 2x4s to the panels themselves for proper alignment. We also have what we commonly call a duplex nail. It's a double-headed nail basically used in holding the 2x4s together. So everything we build here is going to come back apart. So what's left is concrete. So when you drive the nail in, if you only had one head, you wouldn't be able to pull it out. Now, would you? So therefore, we need to have a second head that doesn't get driven all the way down, so we can take a pry bar and pull it out. Also, one of the other components, which I haven't mentioned yet, is an outside corner. In an outside corner, if we can come around here, you can see how the outside corner would tie these panels together, because there is no real way. Oh, by the way, here's an example of duplex nails in the proper usage. This component together with the 2x4s running across is called lacing. You would lace the corners up, but then you would put strong backs down the lacing so the pressure of this wall would stop these from moving. Verse, same thing over here. But as long as you have a wedge bolt in and you have your Z-tie in and your whalers are in, this isn't really going to move. Not with this size. When you get to a bigger wall, you better have more support and more bracing. One of the components I don't see here at hand is a turn bolt. And the turn bolt actually goes in and would actually lock onto the top, and you would adjust it to go in and out, because we have to plumb these. So as you can see, the whole walls can move back and forth. So they have to be braced off to the bank or the dirt or another wall or another component. But for the most part, if you have your plate down, once your lines are established and everything is set up, you would put your plates in place. You would nail your panels down with just some smaller nails, just to hold them in alignment. You would set your outside row walls up. You would take all your tools and components, put your panels together, and then start your whalers, and then do your wall ties. You could add on to this wall. You could stack these panels if you needed to. So if you needed to stack the panels, it's very simple. You would just put the panel up, line it up, be another 2-foot panel. You would put your pins in, put your wedge bolts together, but now you have a weak point. And the weak point is the fact that this can rock. So therefore, when you're going to need another set of whalers on the top, you have whalers on the bottom. When you do that, then you're going to have to put a strong back, because now you have to brace the wall so that the wall can't go back and forth like this. It would hold it rigid. And then again, proper alignment, proper process, and then that would secure your panels. Lastly, what we have here, this is a bulkhead. And when you come to the end of the form, if you want to at a later date continue on, or if you just want to turn around and stop the form at a certain location, but your panel is bigger than what you need, then you can set this bulkhead up or back anywhere you want to get the proper dimension. Inside here is a keyway, and the keyway would assure a void. So you would oil the hell out of this, make sure that it would strip. When it comes off, it's going to have a pocket. So if you poured the next piece of concrete, once this is poured and stripped, you could put forms back on both sides of this. When you poured the next concrete, that would go into that cavity and it would lock your walls together, make it very rigid. And again, the bulkhead can be made out of pretty much anything, depending on the presentation and how nice the end of the wall needs to be. You could have just used a piece of 3/4 plywood, put the stuff on the flat. There's all types of ways to do it. We have a couple more other forms that if you took a Symons form, say we wanted to need a pocket at the bottom for clean out, you could have raised one of these up, caught another hole. We could have made a plywood clean out pocket at the bottom so we could have gotten into something for a later date. And there's a lot of things that you can do with these panels. They're very versatile. They're well known in the industry. They're all steel. They are heavy, but it's a great product. And that concludes our lesson plan for today. Thank you.